He's now applying.
Yeah. The sign-in sheet right in the front, we will sign it in. 9 o'clock. You know, this evening, Counselor Thomas.
Thanks.
Yes, Counselor Nunn, congratulations to you as well. You just did. Well, you're congratulations to you. It's all around. It's accolades. It was informed to me earlier, I'll let council know as well. My Krebs is currently out sick, possibly with the flu. Unknown when Monday will be able to attend and present for public works at this time. Just giving you a heads up. Hey. Depends if there's any contentious issues. We'll see. Yeah, I was wondering what that one was. No, it's not right. Vision's getting worse. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like it. What is that? Who is it?
That looks like that one. Yeah.
All right, I got close up to 7 o'clock. Why don't we go ahead and call this meeting to order? Let's stand to the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, everyone, welcome to our January 2023 City Council session. Or I believe we're already in 2023. Before we get moving on to our regular agenda, I would like to ask council if there is any consent agenda items you would like pulled out for regular discussion. And I do have one correction, by the way, to make on the consent agenda. The correction would be on F. Instead of approve the personnel service agreement between the city of Hubbard and Woodford Ambulance Services and authorize the mayor to sign, it should be an authorized director of administration, city recorder, Vicky Mobile to sign. So that would be the change. But beyond that, is there any consent agenda topics that you would like to hold up for your discussion? I don't have any. I do not. Okay, then we'll keep it as is. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the swearing in of the mayor and city council members. Mayor first.
We'll start with you. I state your name.
I, Charles Roscoe,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform the duties of mayor
that I will faithfully perform the duties of mayor
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
the state of Oregon,
the state of Oregon,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Hubbard.
of the city of Hubbard.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome. And I need to have you sign both of those, and I will take one of those back.
Thank you.
And then did you want to do individual or do you want to do them both at the same time? What is it counts? Individual?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I state your name,
I, James Young,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform the duties of city council
that I will faithfully perform the duties of city councilor
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
the state of Oregon,
the state of Oregon,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Everett,
of the city of Harvard.
so help me God.
So help me God. That's the first time I've done that. Probably too. Perfect.
Very good, thank you. Hi, Joseph.
Okay.
Staying with you. Raise your right hand. I state your name,
I, Joseph Steinberg,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform the duties of city councilor
that I will faithfully perform the duties of city councilor
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution,
and laws of the United States
laws of the United States,
and the state of Oregon,
state of Oregon,
and charter and ordinances
and charter and ordinances
of the city of Hubbard,
of the city of Hubbard.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, need to have you sign both of those and return one. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the appointment of city or the council president. For the last 4 or 5 years now, Councilor Aldrich has served that role. I would like to renominate him for that position, but it is up to the city council to make that decision. Is there any concerns with having Councilor Aldrich continue in this role?
I would second the nomination.
Then we have I will go ahead and make the motion that we appoint Councilor Aldrich as council president.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, welcome back as council president, James. Sorry, Councilor Aldrich. Okay, with that, let's move on to the appearance of interested citizens. Remember, any comments need to be kept to 3 minutes so we can keep the meeting moving. So is there anyone that would like to come up and speak?
Rocky Sherwood, 2622 Nina Place. Want to do a quick shout out to Hubbard PD. Had an unfortunate situation happen, including my pets, because my son left the door left open and dogs got out. And their quick response said it could have been a lot worse, but like to thank Hubbard PD and Officer Bentley. They were super professional, did an outstanding job, and we're just so lucky to have those officers in their position to deal with those certain things that come up.
Wonderful.
And our Hubbard Community Planning Events Committee team, we ended the year really good with special toy drive this year, so we have more stuff, and we signed with a $1 million company, so they're gonna be supporting us in 2023. So I'm looking forward to that. So
Excellent. My only ask is please work with the city staff on any events that you want to plan.
we're actually moving to Oregon City.
Oh, Oregon City.
Yeah, no more events in Hubbard. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. I just, okay. Okay, with that, let's go ahead. Any other interested citizens like to speak? Anyone online?
I do not see anybody.
Excellent. We'll go ahead and move on. This topic number 5 would be continued discussion regarding Hubbard Development Code, section 2.030, sorry, 2.303, home occupation and business registration. And we do have city planner Holly Brown online right now. Welcome.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Wonderful. For the record, my name is Holly Byram and I work at the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. My role is contract city planner for the city of Hubbard and a couple other cities in Marion and Yamhill counties. Would you like any preliminary remarks or shall I just get into my statements here?
I would ask council, any preliminary remarks needed, or are we ready just to move on? Okay, let's go ahead and move forward then.
Okay, great. So the last time we had a discussion about home occupations There had been some concern about the procedures that the city of Hubbard uses and how we process home occupations. And so the direction that council had for staff was take a look at the application that we're using, find a way to enhance that application with a thorough checklist so that all applicants are self-reporting the details so that we don't need to use staff time to follow up and get this information. And let's identify ways to streamline this process and make it easier for folks. There was a little bit of confusion. Different parts of the code didn't really coincide with each other, and they didn't really align with the fees either. So this pertains to both the municipal code and the development code. In the municipal code, we're looking at chapter 5.01. And this is where your municipal code requires all businesses to register. There is an annual registration fee as well. My understanding is the value of having businesses register is so that you have their contact information in the event of an emergency and the unfortunate situation in which there might be a fire or something. There is some language in the municipal code that provides exemptions based upon your gross receipts from a business. My assumption is you don't want an exemption for collecting that information. The city probably still needs that information in the event of emergencies. My assumption is probably the exemption would apply to the annual registration fee for a business. So I would encourage you in your discussions, if you are considering raising that level of gross receipts on the annual basis, perhaps that exemption applies just to the annual registration fee and not so much to the actual registration for the purposes of emergency response.
So just to comment on that, your recommendation though is that we would still ask anyone running a home business, even if it's under the gross receipt amounts of the 10,000, to still at least fill out the home occupation application?
It's recommended, yeah, so that was regarding the municipal code. Now we can move to the development code. In the development code, last time I had a really brief memo that kind of showed which sections of the code applied. Primarily, it's section 2.303. Those are the home occupation standards and procedures. In that section, it's a little bit unclear what procedures should be used. I heard the city council say they would like to find a way to process as many simple home occupations over the counter as possible so that we're not using valuable staff time to track down information. And so what we did in the packets, you'll see that we've enhanced the application that someone would fill out. And we've included every single home occupation standard now has a line on that application, and the applicants would self-report this information. And the purpose for collecting that is when a business grows over time, if there happens to be any nuisance complaints by the neighbors, we have a clear record of what was proposed and what was approved. And if there's been any change in that business model, that perhaps they've outgrown that business location and it's no longer truly a residential situation. And so that's what's in the packet, is an enhanced application form that puts the burden on the applicant to provide that information, so staff is not picking up the phone or emailing them trying to collect all those details. The purpose of that would be hypothetically that staff at City Hall could then apply the minimum cost for this application and be able to process those and approve those over the counter if it's a simple type. I understand there's concerns about the fee schedule for home occupations, and perhaps that needs to be adjusted now to correspond with the new procedure of doing some of these just over the counter.
What would a standard simple application submittal and review fee be? Would it be reasonable for $10, $15, $20?
I would really defer to perhaps Vicki to talk about what her staff kind of hourly rates would be and how to recover those costs.
So currently the way that our fee structure is set up is a deposit only, but since we're doing this would be at the counter first level. My suggestion would be maybe a $75 fee, for review, a flat fee, not a deposit. That would be less than an hour's worth of staff time to review the application.
So $75.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable. Where do we need to then update and or change that? I don't know the rest of the council's opinion on this one, but I have a visual nod from Councilor Thomas, but Councilor Odrish? Any concern? Councilor Yonley?
So right now, there's a deposit, you say, how much is the deposit for the
So,
review process?
yeah, there's 3 levels. The staff review sign only is $300 deposit. Staff review only, which would go over to the city planner, is $1,000 deposit. And if it goes to a planning commission level, it's $1,500 deposit.
Saying for making a recommendation of do a flat $75 for the counter level.
You, Councilor Steininger.
I'm still, I guess I'm not completely sure what kind of businesses we're talking about.
This would be, the best way I think we described it would be, well, the old days were the Tupperware. But like those that might be doing the candle scents, I'm not sure what all the different names are. But it's a small business that maybe a homeowner might be running out of their business. It could be a mail order, it could be something simple as that. What I ran into or encountered earlier or late last year, I should say, probably mid last year, was a resident complaining that they have a small home business that doesn't generate much income. They wanted to register with the city. It was going to cost them $1,200. So they were a little worried about that, obviously. So I brought the topic into council for us to begin the discussion. And what we requested was 2 things. One of the 2 was to increase the gross receipts on a home business to have to go to that higher threshold of the deposit, the $1,200 and maybe even $1,500, to go from gross receipts from equaling $2,500 to $10,000, because $2,500 isn't much anymore these days, it seems. And also to see if we can find a means to allow home occupants that, again, meet that threshold to have an easier way to submit an application so that their business is registered with the city, and then allow us to do an over-the-counter review. So when you think of a business like this, at least the way I try to look at it is a business that is, it could be a hobby type business or something you do on the side that necessarily isn't generating lots of customers, lots of traffic, or like doing a sign outside your house or something like that. Does that make sense? Are we all aligned on that at least? Okay.
That makes sense. So with the original fee structure, that was pertaining to one time, once it was registered, was there an annual fee on top of that?
Yeah, so the $75 would be just to review the home occupation application. And then once that's approved, looks good, they'd still need to register their business, which would be $50 annually,
Okay,
January through December.
okay. That sounds good.
Okay, back to you, Holly. What else are you looking for us to probably have discussion on here?
I imagine Vicky would like direction on, for the municipal code, whether that exemption, what that exemption level would be, and then whether that applies to just the fee or the actual registration form for just all businesses. And then on the development code side, just kind of, we need the permission to move forward with that $75 fee over the counter. And then for the other 2 remaining fees, the $1,000 and the $1,500, my proposal would be to change those to a level 1 type 2, and then a type 1 level 1, and then a type 2, so that it corresponds with the procedures in the development code.
So on the fee schedule, that's adopted by a separate resolution that I would just simply bring that back to the city council for adoption at the next meeting,
Do you need a motion for that or just consensus from us that we would like you to work on that?
just a consensus of it.
Is there any concern from council for, city recorder going to working on this and bringing it back in the next council session? Okay, we have consensus for us on that.
So on the Hubbard Municipal Code portion of this, I'm a little bit concerned about you lifting the exemption amount, because I provided you a list of who is currently registered with the city. And we don't ask people to provide their gross receipts. And so I don't know how many of these that it would affect. If you increase the $2,500 to 10,000. And the purpose of the business registration was for emergency purposes only, so that if there was an issue at a business, that these would be registered, and also Metcom would have contact information. So I don't really know if raising that is really because there's two separate issues. The home office separate from this business registration portion.
You're referring to raising the gross receipt minimum from 2,500 to 10,000?
Yeah.
Because you don't ask for that information.
I don't ask, no, we don't ask for that. No, but you can see, I don't know, they could tell us, yeah, well, I'm 10,000 and then not register, and then you guys don't have that emergency contact.
But I believe if I was reading it correctly somewhere, the city could require, upon request, ask for proof.
We could, but that would be, if there was some egregious thing that had happened, that we would want receipts. We don't, it's really, like I said, it's totally on your honor kind of thing. There's not a lot of teeth in the business registration portion.
What does council think on this one?
I think it has more to do with, like Director Noble said, the emergency part of it, and then making sure you don't have 15 cars lining up every Wednesday night. So you can do a Sensi party and impacting all your neighbors. I think that's more the gist of it, is we don't want something big in the middle of the small streets and whatever.
So you were recommending keeping the threshold at 2,500?
I would think that, with this form here is really well stated, that the decision should be made based upon the information gleaned off of
The
this.
impact statements and so
The
forth.
impact statement versus how much are you making?
Councilor Thomas, what do you think?
I like keeping it at 10,000 just because these side businesses, you could make $1,000, I think, fairly easily in a month, or 500 to 1,000. I think the $75 fee is gonna have more people register their business versus how many do we have now that are not registered that we don't know about. So I think it's kind of twofold, right? Somebody saying, oh, I'm making $3,000 a year on my side business and I don't want to register because I don't want to pay a $1,000 fee. So I think it floats both ways, but I think having this lower level system that makes sense for a side business. I think it's easy to tell a side business from, an everyday business. I think it's helpful.
Are you, Councilor Young?
No. So I've got another clarification question. Persons whose gross receipts from business conducted both within and without the city amount to less than $10,000 in any one calendar year. Now that has to do with the $50 business registration and annual renewal. Is that the 10,000 apply to that?
Right. So if they have less than Right now, if they have less than 2,500, then they're required to register. If you guys bump it up, it would be, if they have less than 10,000, they would be required to register, which is the $50 fee.
So if their income is greater than $2,500 right now, then they register with us as well. And this is less than $2,500 in the county. I thought if they're below $2,500, they wouldn't have to register with us right now.
That, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. The exemption is,
If
if
they're
you're
less
less
than
than 2,500, you don't register. So if you're less than 10,000, you don't register.
And we're not raising that $50 fee, that's what it's meant for.
Right, right. Your the $50 fee is this, that wasn't this.
So I think part of it is part of it is the entry into registering your business. We're looking at reducing that cost for most people, for most small businesses.
Well, $10,000 isn't much.
Well, I know, but that has to do with the registration and annual fee. So you're actually kind of two separate issues we're looking at here. One of them is the registering your business fee. Or 75, well, we're talking about making it $75, and having them provide 98% of their information to us. And once they're registered, then it's a $50 annual.
Right.
To maintain that registration and annual, where previously it was a minimum of, what'd you say it was? It was the first.
There's a fee schedule.
Are you talking- So they're two separate things,
Right. So yeah, so for somebody to register a business right now,
$50.
to have their business to come in and initially.
The home occupation stock review
Right,
is a deposit.
right,
It depends on what
Right.
level, but
The lowest-
$1,000 deposit for the planner to review it.
so it's the lowest level deposit,
300.
300. So they're putting up $300 and then the, whatever costs the staff time they take out of that.
Right.
So that's our current registration process. So we're reducing that to just $75. The other part of it is registering their business with us. These are actually two separate issues.
Yeah.
So keeping the business registered with us, again, the initial idea behind that was just so we have contact information. The house catches on fire or the garage, stuff starts coming out of the garage or something like that. That way we can follow up and talk to them. So, I'm personally, I'm thinking the $2,500 would be fine for the registration, for the $50. The entry process with streamlining, we can get more people to register with us. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So that way we still gain that contact information. So if I'm making $9,500 a year and I've got all this good stuff in my garage, and I have people driving up every Wednesday or whatever the case may be, a huge amount of traffic to the area. We need that contact information for that business owner. And if we don't have it, then it makes it harder for us to get a hold of. So I'm looking at two different issues. One of them, I like the $2,500 right now for the grocery receipts, so that way we keep track of businesses. But I also like the idea of streamlining it to make it easier for businesses to register for $75. So that's what I'm looking at.
Okay. Are you Counselor Steinberg?
I like the idea of raising it to 10,000. 2,500 is a really low amount for more. I think that we're gonna see the impact statement on the application is gonna be more valuable than even the dollar amount. Because you can make no money and have a ton of cars every Wednesday night and still make a huge impact on your neighborhood. But I think having a number that people like consider more of a business is going to get more people thinking if they need to register it. Whereas, I don't know, when I look through here, I don't see any of these small, I don't see any Stuntsies, I don't see any Tupperware, I don't see anything like that on here already.
Yeah, it's most of those businesses probably have a pretty high gross receipt amount.
That's why if we're not asking for receipts now, I don't see where raising it from 2,500 to 10,000 is gonna make a big difference. It's just gonna give people more of a thought of legitimacy of their business and when they register.
If the city has an issue with the residents already, can't we just pull the water information? Off the water bill, so we know who lives there? And then address it from that point?
I don't understand. what-
Emergency
I
contact.
don't understand what you're
To
asking.
answer your question, we've done that, yes. That's true. We've done that.
Yeah, you'll come and ask me.
Yes.
If somebody says, I think my
Something-
neighbor's doing a business because he's got tons of cars. And they bring it to, they come to the window and say, hey, I've got an issue with that. I don't think you're running a legitimate business. You, city staff can look at water bills and say, well, this is who it is, and then have contact, say, look, is there something going on here?
Yeah, if I can just jump in, one of the issues you're talking about is people who have no intentions of licensing their business. And then we find out about a third party or just our keen observations, there's something going on there. So we've done plenty of those where it's just a neighbor will say, hey, my neighbor's got like 3 cars a week going into this garage. I see that it looks like he's running a mechanic, a repair shop out of his garage, multiple vehicles along the street. We had an incident like that recently in our city. And so yeah, it happens fairly frequently, actually.
And then that may even be, that falls back on the development code issue. If they never come in and gone through the home occupation process.
So that would be more complaint driven. Like,
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do though is encourage more registration, right? That's what we really want to try to do, and not have someone go, I don't want to go $1,000 down, $1,500 down. 75, come on, go register your business, you know? Okay, I agree. I think it should still be raised to 10,000, primarily because I'm the one that was bringing that up anyhow. So I'd be hypocritical to back out on that. Is there any, well, would you like a motion on that for this draft? Or,
So if you guys are gonna increase the, increase it to 10,000. It didn't sound like there was a consensus, so yeah.
since it's why I'm motion with a
Yeah, you can, provide a motion for me to prepare the third.
let me see if I can not screw this one up then. I would like to propose a motion that we update ordinance or amend the municipal code business registration section 5.01.0302 business exemptions to raise the current $2,500 grocery street threshold to $10,000.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. Okay, so the motion carries 4-1. Makes it easy, so we just move on. Thank you.
So I'll prepare an ordinance.
Thank you very much, Director Noble.
Okay, do anything like this?
No, you guys approved. There was a consensus to approve the application. It sounded like that. We don't need a motion. We've had other applications.
Yeah,
But-
and then the consensus for the fee schedule will come back in next meeting.
Right, and you were okay with the application.
Yes.
Okay, Holly, is there anything additional that we need right now?
To confirm, the the base level application fee of $75, that would apply to all home occupations, even if they have the exemption under the municipal code. Is that correct?
Yes, because what we're asking there is for them to come in and register their business. The $75 fee would cover the over-the-counter, basically application fee and staff time to review the application. That's what I understand.
Great. Thank you so much.
So I have a question then. Does that mean, Holly, that the development code needs to be changes based on the type code classification?
No, I think just what we call those different fee levels.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
And
you.
I can email you that, Vicky.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Holly,
you.
for your preparation and expertise on this.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that section now completed, we'll go ahead and move on to mayor and or councilors' presentation. This is the opportunity for councilors to provide any updates or presentations they wish, and I will go around starting with Councilor Young. I have none at this time. Councilor Steinberg.
I don't know if this is completely the right time, but I was able to be out during the ice storm we had in the last month, and Officer Bentley was everywhere, helping people all over the community, and I was just really impressed and wanted to just thank the Hubbard Police, especially Officer Bentley, for being out there and walking around, sliding around, doing first aid. He was amazing that day, so that was the biggest thing I wanted to just mention.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Thank you. But, and this would be the perfect time to do that, actually. I do not have anything on top of my mind, although I do hope to see everyone at the City Hall celebration on Saturday evening. I'm sure banquet, their banquet, that's the name. Okay, Counselor Thomas,
I have nothing in this town.
Counselor Rogers.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to staff reports. We'll start off with Sergeant Anderson, who is covering for Chief Ratch this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. You have the copy of the chief's report in front of you, and rather than just reading verbatim what you can read, the one thing of significance, I think you've got a copy of the personal service agreement with Woodburn Ambulance.
Yes.
You've got a copy of that. That, for those that may not understand, I'll just go over that real quick. That enables us to, during a DUI arrest, if someone refuses the breath sample, we can write a search warrant for blood. And this has a pre-loaded program for us just to call Woodburn Ambulance to come to the scene, draw the blood, and it's kind of a seamless process. Without that in place, we have to go to Silverton Hospital or Salem Hospital to do that, and it can be time consuming and dangerous, tedious, a lot of negatives to that. So this is a big change for us, and it's a plus. So pretty straightforward. It's pretty common with most departments nowadays that they have this agreement in place to have the ambulance staff draw the blood. And then one other thing of note, you'll notice on the back there is Senate Bill 1510 went into effect January 1, and that essentially is that lighting violations such as a burned out tail light, license plate light, white light to the rear, lighting malfunctions or lights that aren't working properly are no longer probable cause for us to stop the vehicle. They're a secondary offense. So we used to be able to stop someone for a burned out headlight. It would lead to all kinds of things. We've lost that. So that's the new rules as of January 1.
Does that include not signaling a turn, something like that?
Not signaling doesn't cover that. It's lights that aren't working properly.
Just lights?
Yes. You know,
Yeah, I was reading that in here was use or failure to use lights. So maybe driving with my lights turned off.
yeah, it could be. I mean, there's some caveats to that, but signaling is required, right? But also 2 headlights is required. 2 stoplights are required, right?
You can't pull over. It's strange.
Yeah, so there's a few things in there that are kind of odd, but the primary takeaway is that you can't stop someone for white light to the rear, malfunctioning headlight or malfunctioning tail light or stoplight, right? So there's a lot of things in there that we used to have probable cause or safety issues, and we've lost that. So.
Unfortunate.
Okay, with that being said, I've had a chance to read. I don't have any questions, except for the fact that how was Officer Wise assistance with the Kaiser Police? Do we have any update on that? That was an interesting read.
Yeah, I debriefed with him on that after he came back from that event, and it actually made the newspaper. It was Kaiser PD with the help of Target's loss prevention at Kaiser Station. And for those who don't know, Target has one of the best surveillance systems in the business. Incredibly good surveillance. And so they were able to identify, I want to say they made 8 arrests during that, and that was just the people that they stopped and were able to apprehend and arrest. It is a epidemic. It really is right now at the Outlet Mall in Woodburn, daily 1, 2, 3 times. People run in, grab an armload of gear, run out, jump in a car, and they're on I-5. It's regular. So they were able to identify some people that were involved in that and at least let them know that they're watching and have an impact on those people. But it's a real problem, and we're paying for it. You know, they're just eating that.
Yeah.
We're paying for that, right? So it was a good event for him, and he was able to interact with some officers from a big agency and just kind of see how things work with some more personnel.
So out of curiosity, were we invited to participate in that? Did we see a notice to volunteer for it?
Yeah, no, I think Chief Branch met with Lieutenant Copeland, who works for Kaiser PD, and there was some talk about this event, and we're like, hey, we have a guy, we'd like to have him tag along if he could, and they're like, bring him. So they discussed it, and the invite was sent out.
It's just impressive to see one of our officers be invited to participate in a very large city, because it's a pretty darn big city, effort like this.
Yep.
So, no, it's, congratulations to the police department to have the professionalism on staff to be able to sit someone down like that.
I think it was brilliant, don't recruit him.
Yes, yes. Did we put a sign on his back? Yeah.
Any questions regarding anything else on the future report?
Let's see, Councilor Rogers?
I have no question.
Councilor Thomas?
No question.
Councilor Steinberger?
I do not.
I don't need to say it slowly, I'm gonna get it right. Councilor Young?
I do have a question about that, the PSA with Woodburn ambulance.
Yes.
And in the paragraph, it says, we anticipate 1 to 2 requests for blood draws per week, per month, per year.
Yeah, I think initially, I can't speak for the chief, but I think initially he thought it would be 1 or 2 per year. And it's probably more like, maybe 6 to 10 per year. Because the dynamics have changed and the case law has changed with DUIs. So more and more, if someone refuses, we just go to the search warrant and go for blood, breath, urine, whatever we have to get. So, I would say conservatively 6, maybe 8, maybe 10 per year.
Right, and that's the only question I have.
Still shocking, that's a high number. Okay, if that is no other questions, let's move on to the Hubbard Fire District, and I see we have our interim fire chief on.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Welcome virtually.
Thank you. I'm Interim Chief Michael Carmen. And really, as far as December went, we had 102 calls for service. That's about a 25% increase from last December. And I think a lot of that comes from the ice storm that we had, as well as the windstorm a week later. Between those two events and just the days in between them, that accounted for about 32 of our calls. We do currently have 29 volunteers, 33 members in total. Had a couple public outreach. We had Santa Claus come down to the station the first Friday after the Christmas tree lighting. That was a good time. We always look forward to that, being involved with the community, as well as doing a toy drive this year with Rocky Sherwood and Company. So busy December for us. And then we're getting right back into it in January with our training. We had a live burn this past Saturday. That went well. That was Hubbard and Woodburn fire districts on that. We burned an old farmhouse down to make room for some new residential development there.
I would like to comment on that. I saw a lot of social media posts that you guys announcing that was going to happen, followed by a bunch of people really concerned about why is there smoke everywhere. So I'm not sure how we can better inform individuals on that. You guys did a good job, at least outreach, trying to let everyone know what was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think part of, I don't know if there's like a algorithm for the social media where people end up seeing those things after they've happened, but we did put it out several times on social media before the event to try to head off some of that concern that may come up during the event.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to try to do the best you can to do the public notification.
Thank you. It was a great training for everybody. Good learning experience for everybody involved.
Yeah, 110 calls too. That was just last month.
Yeah, just for the month of December.
That's a lot of calls. Okay, with that, let's go around. Councilor Rogers, some questions for our district?
No questions, but it was great to see the Hubbard guys out there doing hands-on training on Saturday.
Councilor Thomas?
No questions.
Councilor Steiner?
No question.
Councilor Young?
I do not have any questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Intern Chief. And I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. You guys too.
Okay, we'll move on to Administrative Department and Admin Reporter, Noble.
The audit, we are actually in the middle of providing lots of information to our auditor online. They come and do a visit, but we're trying to do everything electronically. It's been kind of interesting. The extension was granted, so we're working diligently to wrap that up. I did want to update you, negotiating that contract with Krista. It'll go until December 2023. She did indicate to me that after this new contract, she won't be able to provide the monthly reconciliation. So we need to consider, if our plan A doesn't work out, we need to start talking or thinking about plan B for that portion of the finance office.
So if I look at it this way, next month we've got interview sessions set up. Actually, it's this month going into next month. I'm assuming if we don't find a candidate, probably at the end of this one, we should probably start talking about that.
Just remind you about the holiday award banquet on Saturday, starts at 6 o'clock. Meeting, special city council orientation, January 17th, starts at 1 o'clock, and then I have other dates there for meetings. Update on the comprehensive plan, UGB expansion. She got back to me today and explained to me that they did hire a new planner at the COG, but she also had one provide notice. So she's going to get back in touch with me about the middle of February in regards to this project. She knows it's a high priority. We're on their radar. So hopefully we'll be starting on that soon.
Is that something we still think we can get completed this year?
It won't get completed this year. That's a big,
We're gonna start it.
yeah, start. I'm hoping we're going to be starting that this year. Just wanted to, I mentioned about that Governor Kate Brown's remission of fines orders. I provided you with the information on that, and Julie and the Megan Halstead worked diligently to get all of those reinstated, and it came to a tune about 10 grand. Let's go down here to, the HVAC system. I got word today that the testing took place on its own and it's working, which is good since it went off during the storm and we had a delay. Looks like the Frank Bronick is continued public hearing is scheduled for February. And I do not have anything else to report unless you have any questions.
Okay, yeah, Broadacres Road, that's the one. Okay.
Yes.
Just I'll apologize. It'll probably be the last minute on the February 15th newsletter. Again, just giving you a heads up. Try to start a draft early this time. Okay, any questions, Councilor Robert?
Are we short anybody on the planning commission?
Yes, we are. We
I'm
have
sorry.
three, yes, we have 3 members, so we need to.
We're short 2 positions. And all I would say is I really appreciate you putting the wording on this. Because again, last week was the first time I heard of it. It was great to be able to read it for me. Thank you.
Still a shocker. Councilor Thomas,
No questions, thanks.
Councilor Steiner,
No question.
and Councilor Youngman.
I have no questions.
Okay. We do not have a representative of Public Works here, so we will have to, I guess, table that discussion. As I mentioned, my presence at Bill Superintendent and Lauren was just unable to make it. So with that, the next agenda topic is going to go ahead and do consent agenda. So I will go through brief topics here. For the consent agenda, A, approval of city council minutes. The first one will be November 21st, 2022 special meeting. Number 2 would be December 13th, 2022 regular meeting. B, approval of the December 2022 check register report. C, approval to move Aaron Gabarello, utility worker 1, from D to E of the Hubbard salary schedule effective January 1st, 2023.
D, approval to move Jordan Trammell, utility worker one, off of probation and from step A to step B of the Hubbard salary schedule effective January 1st, 2023. E, approval to move Steve Hollyman, police officer, from D to E of the Hubbard salary schedule effective January 16th, 2023. F, approve the personnel service agreement between the city of Hubbard and the Woodward Ambulance Service Incorporated and authorized Director of Administration, City Recorder Vicky Noble to sign. G, authorize Mayor Charles Ross to sell approval and signature of the 2022 Special City Allotment Grant Agreement once received from the state of Oregon and approved by the city attorney. And H, authorize Director of Administration, City Recorder Vicky Noble to negotiate and sign the renewal agreement with Wolf Consulting LLC for financial or finance consulting services once approved by the city attorney.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Okay,
Second that.
we have a motion and a second. All those, all who approve, say aye. Aye. All who disapprove, say nay. Okay, consent agenda carries. Thank you. And with that, do we have any other city business to discuss? I'll go around and I'll ask Councilor Roberts. And then Councilor Thomas,
I have none, thank you.
Councilor Flanagan,
I have none.
and Councilor Young.
And I have none.
Okay, with that, next topic would be adjourned.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
You're swearing in some sheets for
Swearing at, swearing at you. Did I get your name right over there?
You did.
I had it.